Welcome everyone to our very first episode of DIRKMAN Projects. This project is about a client that lives in a freestanding house. He requested a solar and power backup solution as he works from home. On his property he also has a small garden cottage, and the solar panels will allow for some return on investment saving on his monthly utility bill. After careful consideration and discussions and planning with the client, considering things like budget and backup requirements, minimum backup requirements, we've established an 8 kVA hybrid inverter with a 10 kilowatt hour battery backup. At 5.5 kilowatt PV peak, he should be able to yield anything from 25 to 35 kilowatt units per day. This will ensure that his battery, once run dead at night, will charge all the way back up, as well as supplying his general loads during the house during daytime. Overcast weather days, grid will charge the battery. The 8 kVA hybrid inverter will run most of his house, excluding high loads, for example a geyser, stove, and typical kitchen appliances that tend to utilize high power peaks. But for everything else, his lights and general plugs in his house will run off the battery. In this instance, the auxiliary output load on the inverter will also be able to power his garden cottage. So his tenant will also have a bit of power backup. Using the auxiliary output allows us to control the battery discharge so that if the battery reaches, let's say 50%, the auxiliary loads to his garden cottage will switch off, and him as a priority of his property will maintain the extent of the battery for backup. So during our initial site inspection, walking into the room where the plant would be installed, one look at the DB board and we could tell this is going to have to be redone. It's old. It's not up to standard anymore, and besides, if you're going to be spending a pretty penny on getting yourself a new renewable energy source, you might want to just upgrade this. You just might want to consider having a fresh board rewired, redone, and it also ensure that the compliance of your system and your house loads are up to date. So even before an initial site inspection, we've already gone on to utilizing our software, identified the house, rendered panels onto the roof, and have a pretty good idea of how we'll place the panels. But walking around to the back of the house to view where we plan on placing the panels, the tree is much larger than the 10-year-old Google Earth imagery, which was quite a challenge on the day. So we had to, on the fly, decide how we'll split the panels so that we can still ensure a good yield. So we decided, with the placement of the tree being smack in the middle of the house, to have half of the panels on one side and half on the other. An advantage to this is, in the mornings with the eastern sunrise, one half of the panels will produce. During the midday portion, both tables of panels will be yielding, and in late afternoon the western sunset sun will maintain production on the western table of panels. So if there's a top tip I can give during this episode is to carry the message across that these installations are highly technical. Our loving and caring teams have been trained and we've got specialist tools. It is very technical, and I would not advise that this would be approached as a DIY project. We get so many phone calls of clients that have attempted a DIY project and we're ending up to redo the entire installation completely. So many tricks of the trade, so many fine printed legislation around the safety and the requirements of the installation that I would not recommend this DIY. So take a look at how our guys take care with installation, only use high quality components and parts, carefully planned on how everything fits together. So while I have your attention, remember to hit the like and share with all of your family and friends who can share on this awesome journey. It's one thing to have fall arrest safety gear, but it's another to ensure that the guys all have working at heights training on how to utilize the gear safely on the roof. So here on the left side, we've got trunking coming down from the ceiling, containing the PV cable wiring from the PV panels all the way to the PV combiner box. In this box, we've got fuse protection, surge protection, and an isolator that after that feeds the power back through to the inverter. The inverter then utilizes that DC PV power. It stores it into the battery. The inverter is connected to the house's power supply through this right side. ESCOM feeds from there to the inverter, and the backup loads gets fed back. So on this project, I'd like to give kudos to our sales team that through their technical experience was able to do a very, very thorough site inspection, providing a detailed bill of quantities so that when we get to the installation phase, it really optimizes time utilization so that it gets done effectively within time budget. In a world where going green is the trend, it is such a privilege to be part of projects like these where we're able to minimize CO2 emissions in the world, where we're able to once again enhance the quality of life of the families that we serve. The finalization of each project is a celebration. Now that the project has been completed and the client is happily served with a renewable energy source, it is still not the end. We will see him again on a scheduled interval arrangement to pop back every now and then, clean the panels and do a system integrity check, which is very important. You want to ensure that your system is well maintained and provide you longevity to match the warranty period as well. This was really a fun project to be part of. Minimal challenges ensured that we could complete the project within 3 days. It is always so exciting for us to meet a new client that have made the big decision and finally committed to changing their lives, knowing that we'll be the instruments of this change in his life. And this concludes another successful project and a happy client. Why are we documenting our projects? Is to provide you with valuable insights on what a typical installation entails. So, click the like button and share it to as many people as you possibly can that could also find value in the content.